Good evening, everybody. This is Robin with another edition of Horror Pop After Midnight, and my guest tonight is filmmaker Garo Setian. I hope I said your name right. Sara French and Sadie Katz, who are in this awesome sci-fi adventure beef popcorn flick, Space Wars: The Quest for the Deepstar. How's it going, guys?
Yay!
We're good. How are you?
Pretty good. I had so much fun watching that film. It was a fun popcorn flick. It reminded me of a kid in the 80s going to an independent movie theater or, a Saturday matinee watching a good, fun adventure flick.
Awesome.
That's the goal. That's what we set out to make. I mean, when we did my first one, Automation, I remember saying, when my wife and I were talking about making the movie, I want to make those kind of movies that you would, I would rent everything as a kid. Any sci-fi or horror movie, I would rent it. And let's be honest, usually you're disappointed, or something isn't as good as you expect it to be. But every now and then you'd come across a small movie and you're like, hey, that one's good. They tried. It had a story, it had a beginning, middle, and end, and it all came together, and it was kind of fun, and that is what I wanted to make. I wanted to make one of those, that it's a small movie, but it's a good movie. And that's what we set out to do with this one as well.
Yeah.
I mean, for me, it's one of those where you would go into the video store back in the day, and you chose the movies that you wanted to see based on the cover art.
Mm-hmm.
And this is totally one you'd see the cover artwork and be like, oh my gosh, that looks awesome. And then you read the back and you're like, oh, I like that story. That sounds awesome. I'm going to check that out.
Yeah, I know how you feel. I was like that at the mom and pop stores. You see the good art, the art on the boxes, you read the back. And then when you get home, it was like a hit and miss. It could be a very crappy film or just a fun film just to watch, but it's crappy, but it was still good.
Big mind. So there was like the little, I think they called it like Video Depot. And I would beg them for the movie posters. Because you know how they'd have all the movie posters on the wall. And I mean, God, that was such an experience. You're so right. Space Wars would be that. And you would be like, why do I love this movie? I mean, you love it, but there's something kind of fun about something not being from a studio. You feel like you discovered it. Rather than like someone made you to discover it, you're like, no, it's actually really good.
There were some other ones too. I remember Empire Pictures, before Charles Band started Full Moon Entertainment, and you'd have movies like Arena or Robot Jocks or Terror Vision.
Yep.
And they were fun popcorn movies with a lot of imagination and cool special visual effects and things. And those films took you to another world and gave you a really cool ride, and that's what we wanted to do with this.
Yeah,
and it's very character driven, character driven, and each character has their own unique look, their own unique personality, and it's one that they each kind of have their own thing going on, and you can follow along with it very well, and it's so much fun. You want to see what's going to happen next, and those are the kind of movies I'm totally into. I want to just be able to follow along with the ride and see where it takes you and, just kind of escape the real world life stresses and just immerse yourself into this fun space adventure, exciting, action-packed film.
Yeah, especially you guys got Michael Peer, who played Captain Kip, and I love his character because he reminded me of one of my favorite adventurers on TV back in the 70s and early 80s. He reminded me of Jason from Jason of Star Command.
I remember that show.
A lot of people are saying like Buck Rogers, which and it's funny. I'm like, oh my God, that's so true. He kind of like Garo and him, we want to give the director and the writer and Joe credit, but like Michael Pere, when I saw him in it, I was so stoked because I'm like, he really, I love when actors like lean into the genre and really like kind of roll around in it. And I love him.
And I think what really helps is this is his favorite genre. Like he loves reading books about this. He loves watching movies. He loves being in these kind of movies and TV shows. He's so amazing. And what I love is a lot of the reviews are calling him a space cowboy. And it's so perfect.
Yeah.
Hey, I like Space Cowboy. He looks like a Space Cowboy adventurer, one of those like Space Cowboy adventurers from those 1940s and 50s serials too. You know, the little adventure serials. You know, with the Space Cowboy. Yeah, I could definitely see.
Commander Cody.
Yeah. All right, Sadie, I know you had so much fun with your role as Elnora. Man, you can tell you were having a blast, man. You were just so revenge hungry because you lost your son Ezekiel and you just wanted just to tear up Captain Kip, and you would did anything just to destroy it. And I know you were having fun playing that bad role.
You know what? It's kind of an interesting thing when you come in as one of the villains. And what was interesting is there was more than one villain in this.
Uh-huh.
So, but Garo and I want to say the wardrobe, Joanne Heckman. Am I saying?
Joanna Heckman.
Heckman, like having the wardrobe, having Garo like give permission to kind of camp it up and really, you know, just be silly and evil and love that was really different because I played so many villains and it's like a space I really love, obviously. But this was really, every time I play like, you know, an antagonist, I'm always kind of like trying to think, how can it be different? So I'm not, all my bad guys are not the same. You know, sometimes I'm a bitch here and then other times I'm like a sexed up crazy person. And that was kind of cool about Eleonora because I was like, I don't want to play her as like a sexy, that's not the vibe of the movie. And I really loved like it so much sometimes and especially in the indie world, your appearance of like your hair and your makeup and your wardrobe isn't given that much consideration. And this time it was really cool to be like, we're going to do this real severe hair and these thin red lips. Well, my lips are thin. But I took one for the team. And there's something like so cool about that. So it was great. I'm like, I got to have just pure fun playing a bad guy, which is cool.
Yeah, I love the helmet.
You know, that part evolved a bit too. It was interesting because like when we had the draft of the script, it was originally almost a little bit more like a sort of corporate sort of bad guy. You know, you had a desk and everything, I remember, and it was going to be, you know, sort of that. And then when we were, this just shows you how much thought goes into all this. Then as we were designing the costume, I saw something. It was I think it was Uma Thurman's as Medusa in a Percy Jackson movie. And she had this really big collar, like a leather collar. And I really thought it was a cool look. So we started looking for things around that. And as we were developing that, the sort of collar, going a little further into the Flash Gordon sort of, because, you know, that was the thing. It's like, well, if she's going to be like the head of this thing, you know, she's not going to be wearing a business suit. It's going to be more, you know, Darth Vader or Ming the Merciless or something. So we went a little more with that. And once that happened, then it became more a control center, you know, and we made it more like a base, you know, instead of the sort of corporate thing. And it worked out great. I mean, it was a fun development process.
I felt like right when I was there, you know, obviously we shot this Fast and Furious, so I wasn't really there that much. I immediately was like, I wish this was a TV series. I wish we were doing this cute, like, I was like, I could really have fun with this girl. I loved Big Bad Beetleborgs, like, even though I was too old for it. That was like one of the first shows I did, and I was like, wouldn't it be fun to show up every day and just be, you know, have this really great time with a totally different world, like, especially now, it is kind of hard, I'm sure, like with Sara, is sometimes you end up doing stuff and you're like, oh, that was great. I just screamed and cried all day and like literally choked the life out of someone and drowning them and killing their baby and stuff. And you're like, that's a really crazy job. Like, okay, I'm glad I'm working, but I don't know if I should be putting that into the universe. With this, I was like, Yes, this is exactly what the universe needs. So then you feel like you're doing a bigger message, which is cool.
I think so too. Sarah, you played Taylor. How much fun was it? And you guys had, you and Michael had great chemistry, and I loved how your character evolved through the whole movie. You started off a little bit vulnerable, then you started, getting into the journey to seek the Deepstar, and then you started being a badass, and you had a lot of great fight scenes, especially with Tyler. That fight scene with you and Tyler was just epic.
Yeah, well, thank you. We put a lot of time and energy into pre-pro and filming this movie, and it was just such a wonderful character. I've always wanted to play a character like Taylor. She's a badass. She's smart. She's always thinking 10 steps ahead. She doesn't put up with any shit.
Yep.
She fixes ships. She flies ships. She whoops some ass, and I loved every minute of it. There's so much depth to her character too. She's not only a badass, but there's also a softer side to her, and the quest throughout the movie. I mean, she's heartbroken over her mom's passing, and she's doing anything she can to bring her back, and that's the driving force of hers throughout the whole film. And it's a really great, beautiful, just everything with the character. And the fight stuff was just the cherry on top, because I love fight scenes. I mean, I've always done my own fight scenes and things like that in films, but they weren't like this one. So to be able to really sink my teeth into this character, into this film, and really just give it my all was an amazing thing, and I'm very grateful for it. And we have a lot more to bring you as well.
Yeah. That thing about the 10 steps at her character thinking 10 steps ahead.
Yeah.
It's really fun too when you watch the movie, if you do watch it multiple times, or you can see how the character is thinking and trying to find ways out of certain things, and always just planning something. It's a lot of fun. There's a really great sequence where, it's her, Olivier, Tyler, and Rachel, and she's captured there, and the way she starts playing characters against each other and stuff, it's really fun to watch. And all the actors in this movie, that's something which is really neat, is they had these very broad, fun characters, and you can see they all had some business going on. Everybody, this wasn't just people standing around. Everyone had something going on that, you could see happening. You could see the wheels spinning. It was great.
Yeah.
And the other thing I love about, one of the things I really love about this film is the really true meaning behind it all. I mean, there's all this cool, crazy things happening, but the true story is family and the love of family and what you're willing to do to get your family back and keep them all together. And so there's really a lot of love that, is within the story of all this awesome badassness that I really love. So it's just fun for the whole family.
I think so too. Garo, let's talk about the special effects. I love the sets you built, the model ships, and then also the fun, creatures. That was pretty fun.
It was really neat. We did a lot of. I worked with Anthony Pierce, the production designer, and also Ted Smith, who built. Ted Smith's this amazing foam fabricator. He's also known as Evil Ted Smith. He has his own website, and he creates patterns so people can build their own space helmets and things like that. So he built the space helmet that Sara and Anahit wear in the movie. He built the chairs on the sets of the spaceship, and all the control panels and things, and guns and handheld devices and all of that real techie stuff were things he did. And then Anthony Pierce built these shells, and then had all this extra stuff which he would put on the walls and just keep things alive looking. And the special effects were mostly digital. We all the spaceships were CG and the monsters were CG, but we directed a lot of my direction to them was for the things to look more like models, or I didn't want them to look like fake models. I wanted them to have weight, though. I wanted them to be filmed in a way where if you had a camera positioned in space, you'd see it go by. I think a lot of effects tend to be over-designed in modern films, and you'll have light flares and spinny cameras and all. I didn't want it to be like that because I get confused and I zone out at a certain point during space battles like that. I like them like they were done in, shows like Space 1999 or the older Star Wars movies and things like that. So I just wanted things to be clear and easy to see and follow, and also everything to have weight. That was the other big thing.
Yeah, when I was watching the film, I was imagining I was side by side with Sara, having fun playing with all those cool weapons and toys and stuff. I was imagining I was on an adventure with her and Captain Kip while I was watching the film.
And if you were on the planet with her, on the red planet Xeno, you would have seen the space backpack fall off about a dozen times in that sequence. That's on the the blooper reel on the DVD. So
it was wild, man. I tell you, it was so funny because those were pickup shots that we had to get in Vegas, and we had only just 2 days to shoot that, and then our huge big battle at the end of the movie. So, we packed a lot in the last 2 days, but it all came out perfectly, seamlessly.
Oh, and especially Sadie's kill scene, man, where she got it right at the back of the ship. It was like revenge was self-served.
I was going to ask Sadie, what was it like for you when you first saw yourself flying in a spaceship and firing lasers and stuff like that in the movie? I mean, that had to be a bit of a trip, right?
Yeah, what's so funny is if I hadn't have done automation, where Garo really, and Sara did it as well, weren't you, we were so surprised in automation because he's like, oh, we're going to add some future stuff. So, and I thought that I was very blown away. But then when I read the script for Space Wars, I was like, okay, this is a lot more than automation. This isn't a couple flying cars. But I do know that Garo doesn't do anything half-hearted. He's all in. So I'm like, okay, he must know what he's doing. But then I just saw one frame and I was like, I don't know what, honestly, maybe I did think it was going to be more like a, Power Rangers type deal. I thought it was going to be much more, not as much CGI. So I'm like this, oh my God, this is so cool. How cool is it? I turned into a nerd. I was excited, a geek. I was excited about it. It's really cool. That's when you see movie magic is when you're with the green screen and Garo's that you're gonna see space out there. And I'm like, okay, but you don't know what the space looks like. They made better space than I visualized because I just visualized. I don't know. I guess my imagination doesn't work that way. So I thought it was pretty dope. That's what I thought.
Well, and I just wanted to say that you can really see the love that Garo put into this film.
You can tell.
You can see his love for the sci-fi genre really shine through. Because this was a big thing. It was a lot for all of us to take on, but we were all passionate, excited. I mean, Joe wrote a wonderful script for all of us to sink our teeth into. Garo directed his heart out, and he put such a great team together, and you can really see that within the film.
I totally agree with you, too. And let's talk about Rachel's character, Nina, man. She was a badass, too, and you can tell she was having fun with that role. She kind of reminded me of pro wrestler China in space.
Yeah, she had a lot of fun with that part.
She is fire. She's so nice. Sometimes girls when they're she's so nice. every time I see her, I'm like, why are you? Well, Sarah's very nice too, but you're so nice. I actually got a kick because I didn't get to see the fight scene till the premiere.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, wow, this fight seems like legit.
It was.
It just went on and on in a cool way, you know?
Yeah, but it was fun.
Hey, they're doing blows. It was pretty badass, actually.
I liked it when she did that like arm lock move on Tyler too.
Yeah.
To the side like nothing. It's very convincing when it happened.
He made it.
I mean, she had two great fight scenes, with one with the aliens and then ours.
Oh yeah.
And she was so great to work with. I mean, she's very familiar with martial arts and she's trained and she knows all about that. I think I was the only one on set that did the fights that was not trained at all. Like, I came in not really, I knew what to do and how to sell things and how to, you know, do all that, but as far as like years of training, I just didn't have it. And so it was really great working with Olivier, Rachel, and Tyler, who are all very familiar in fight choreography and stuff like that. And it was so much fun working with Rachel. And Olivier really, he helped us choreograph our fight scene. Yeah. And Michael Sue as well, because he's very familiar with shooting fight scenes, our DP, which helped us out a lot. Because you can't... Your actors have to be choreographed, but the DP also has to be familiar with shooting fight scenes. I mean, you need that. So he was, you know, he did a really great job. And Rachel, she's just such a badass. And, you know, we had a lot of fun with that.
Michael really did kill it. And we had a lot of, great movements of the camera and the spaceships and stuff. I mean, it really kept things alive, and we always created a variety of different looks for the different ships and, environments, or even just different times when you're in the ships. So we always tried to keep the looks changing a little bit, whether it would be a color scheme or something,
Olivier's character was fun too. He reminded me of a badass space pirate, all smooth. And the cool thing about him, he was like a French commando in this French special forces in real life too, which kind of made the role more badass too.
Yeah. He's really into he does that tactical training. He's the real deal. I mean, when he held up the little space gun or whatever, he made it look, he convinced you it was deadly.
Shoot, I wouldn't want to mess with him or Rachel in the dark alley. I'd be running like the Roadrunner.
No.
And also, what you guys thought when your film was shown at a theater on the big screen? What was going through your guys' minds?
Mine was each of the first screens, there's always like one little thing that went wrong. So I was always having a panic attack, whether it was a sound issue in a theater or something. But when we did finally have our theatrical release, it was perfect. The movie looked perfect, and every screening we went to was everything I ever could have wanted it to be. So it was amazing.
Yeah, it's always like, this is a film you want to see on the big screen because there's so much going on. There's so much action. There's so much adventure. There's so much fun. And I'm very glad we got a limited theatrical release because, like I said, this is something you needed to see in the theater. Yeah. And because you really just feel like you're along for the ride. And I love watching myself on screen just because I'm proud of what we did. I mean, this is not an easy thing to do. Like, this industry is very hard to work in. And when you can finally see the fruits of your labor, it really is a wonderful, magical thing. And I'm very, very grateful.
I love that you said that, Sarah. Like, it's a thing sometimes where actors will like not stay for the movie or they don't want to watch themselves. And I'm like, why are you doing this then? Like, look, even times where I go, ooh, I wish they would have chosen a different take, or boy, I'm not looking the way I thought I did, or not for Space Wars. I loved everything. No, but like, I'm always like, you know what? I'm doing my dream. Like, this is my dream. I'm excited. Like, had I told little 12-year-old me that I would have done this, I wouldn't have been critiquing it. I would have just been like, oh my God. You know, I was like crying to be in a stage play at my school that no one even wanted to be in. So I love that, Sarah, because Sarah, as we've known each other now a long time, does work really, really hard. And I've watched her just keep leveling up. And it's rad because, you know, what did you say when I first met you? You're like, I just wanted to be a scream queen. That's what I wanted. And so I've seen you like have that goal and then kind of turn that into being, you know, a movie star, an actress, and getting both of those, which is cool.
Thank you, Sadie.
So,
yeah, it's
so it's also out on DVD today as well, and you can watch it on, you know, demand, which I think is cool because you can get it at Best Buy, Amazon. You can also get it at Barnes & Noble. So where can everybody find you guys on social media?
Well, my stuff you can find me on Instagram at Sarah French Online, and also Facebook, Sarah French.
Facebook for me too, and I'm on Instagram, so both places, just under my name, Garo Setian.
Same Instagram, Sadie Katz, and Facebook, Sadie Katz. But if I don't add you, it's fine. Follow me on Instagram. Or Sadie __ Katz on Twitter.
All right.
And you can find Space Wars everywhere on VOD, on DVD, and you know, we'd love to hear from you guys. We'd love to hear what you think. You know, shoot us over messages, comments. You know, we appreciate all of the support.
And you guys, thank you so much for coming on. I had a blast.
Thank you.
Thanks so much. Really enjoyed this.
All right, one more question before I get off with you, Garo. Is there going to be a sequel? Are we going to see more adventures of Taylor and Captain Kip and Crazy Jackie? Is there another film going to be coming?
Yes, and yes, we all want to do it. You know, Michael Pere, Anahit, and Sara, they're all on board, and you know, we're hoping we can do more adventures with these characters in this universe. We really, it's just been a lot of fun. This is a dream. I told Anahit, you know, when we were filming this movie, we're living the dream right now, and it really is. I mean, this is just magic. This is the kind of stuff we always wanted to do, and to have the opportunity to do it, we just want to keep doing it. So,
and everybody,
amen to that.
Amen. And everybody, thank you for listening to Horror Pop After Midnight.